Now, I've heard the occasional story of a wrongful arrest due to facial recognition. I actually heard of a woman, this one shocked me, a woman who was taken from her home state to a state where she supposedly broke the law, was found to not be the individual on camera, but was traumatized by months of this and actually jailed for some time. I mean, talk about guilty before she had no due process whatsoever. This technology is not infallible.
Our perspective is facial recognition technology in the hands of the government is dangerous when it doesn't work. It's also dangerous when it works.
Absolutely.
There are lots of examples of false arrests. Mm-hmm. There's a man, I believe, in Colorado who a facial surveillance system told the police was the suspect in a bank robbery. A SWAT team carried out an operation at his home, arrested him in front of his family. He was jailed, interrogated, and then released. By the time he was released, he had been traumatized. He had suffered a lot, and his wife had left him, and he had lost custody over his children. He had suffered some irreparable harms. In Michigan, the ACLU worked with a man who was arrested based on a false match with someone who had robbed a watch store, pocketed a bunch of watches. This man was arrested despite the fact that he was demonstrably 30 miles away from the scene of the crime when the crime happened. He was actually driving back home from work and had recorded a video of himself singing his favorite song and posted it on social media, and it was publicly available. And so,
I mean, I'm not an advocate for like video while driving, but maybe in this case it was a smart idea.
What technology like this does is it leads to sloppy police work. It gives the state undue confidence that they have the right person. So it's awful and broken when it doesn't work, but it's also awful when it does work. There are plenty of examples of public officials abusing this power and doing searches for former partners, stalking people, searching whoever they're interested in. We can easily imagine someone who deeply disagrees with our political convictions finding out as much as they can about us just because they work for the government and have access to that information so that they can find some wrongdoing. There are so many laws that it's actually not that difficult. If you have these kinds of powers, it's not that difficult to pin wrongdoing on you. Maybe you've jaywalked. Maybe you didn't come to a complete 100% stop at that stop sign. Maybe your registration was expired for 3 days, and maybe that's a Class E crime.
I'm starting to feel attacked with these examples, Michael. Maybe all of the above have been true at one time or another. It brings to mind, this technology brings to mind a movie called Mercy. I don't know if you've seen it, but it is a court run by AI. And it's an enjoyable flick.
It's a new movie.
It's a new movie. It just came out. I've seen it.
Trailer.
It's creepy, right? How far away are we from this technology? The judge is AI, and you have 90 minutes to prove your innocence. And so, the length of a good movie, right? We're there. AI is having undue influence. AI technology is having undue influence in these areas. And I think maybe some folks recognize that, some don't. When you talk about the flock cameras or other technology, the basic premise of it sounds so nice, but as we're diving into what it is actually capable of, it's terrifying. And so I know there are other uses that are out there that are right around the corner. Can you outline any of those that we should be on the watch for?
I think when we're thinking about other uses, I'm mostly thinking about bad actors infiltrating these systems. So Flock has repeatedly been shown to not have a very high level of encryption on these devices. We've seen journalists walk up, connect to the systems, and hack them. And so you could imagine So in Maine, Home Depot is not allowed to have ALPRs because of our general prohibition, but they
Sure.
do have them in other states. And so you could imagine a bad actor, someone who maybe wants to rob people, going to a Home Depot, hooking up to their ALPR system and watching for people who leave with high value items and then following them home and taking advantage of that. It's not that far away to think of the next step of being outside of a school and watching for kids to go home and preying upon children, right? And so I think a lot about how their lack of safety and security with their own systems could lead to those bad actors getting into it. I think there are a lot of government uses that could take us on that downward spiral as well. As Michael mentioned, domestic partner violence and domestic violence, there's been numerous instances of police officers being prosecuted, charged with crimes for stalking using these systems as well.